At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news. We're interrupting this program to bring you a live telecast. Our regular programs will continue shortly. Please stay tuned.
A strong member of the debates club. So when we finish any debates, we'll say, with these few points of mine, I hope I've been able to convince you and not to confuse you that the federal government means well for the MSMEs, please. Thank you very much.
Was he able to convince you? Please put our hands together for him. Thank you. And to reiterate what he just said about the need for publicity for this, 2 television stations, TVC and NTA, are taking this live. And so what you're actually doing is you are being part of history. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Tola also talked about Bank of Industry being amazing and excellent. And for me, excellence is never an accident. It is always the result of high intention, sincere effort, and intelligent execution. And that's what BOI brings to the table. Let me welcome here the Executive Director in charge of MSMEs to lay out what it will take. If you have a notepad and a pen, take note. This is a classroom. As I welcome here, Omar Shakarau.
Thank you very much, sir. The Honorable Minister, Industry, Trade and Investment, our own person, our own minister, the SSA to the President on MSMEs and job creation, the SSD to the President, John, who has always been a brother and a friend of the bank, members of the well-established organized private sector, government officials that are here, my colleagues from Bank of Industry and other banks, kindly permit me to stand on the well-established protocols. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the town hall meeting or event of the federal government 200 billion Presidential Intervention Fund for micro, small and medium enterprises and the manufacturing enterprises introduced under the leadership of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. This was established to support Nigerian MSMEs and manufacturers towards driving economic growth and job creation in line with the President's renewed agenda. In Nigeria, and of course Africa and the world, MSMEs have proven that they are driving force behind the non-oil economy, contributing significantly to innovation, economic growth and job creation. Unfortunately, despite all this need to support them, all surveys and studies have confirmed that it is always difficult for them to access funding. And it is a recognition of this that the federal government introduced the 200 billion Presidential Intervention Fund for MSMEs and manufacturing enterprises and appointed us, Bank of Industry, as the executing agency to implement this initiative. Of course, this is based on the track record of the bank, especially when it comes to helping and standing firmly in federal government interventions. We have done this for years, and we've proved that we can do it again and again, most importantly with integrity. There are three funds or streams. The first is the 50 billion. That is for nano. This is grant. And it's supposed to go to all Nigerians across the 774 local governments, with each person collecting 50,000 and a maximum of 1,000 per local government. I want to let you know that as at today, we have disbursed over 800,000 Nigerians out of the earmarked 1 million, and we've disbursed over 40 billion of the 50 billion. The intention is that between now and Christmas and New Year, we would have disbursed the entire 50 billion to Nigerians. And no local government, as we speak today, there's no local government that has not benefited from this grant. We will provide the details, including names and addresses and NIN, for whoever is interested to make sure that truly these funds went to the right Nigerians. And of course, the Master of Ceremony mentioned that to ensure impact, it is truly decided that 70% of beneficiaries should be women and youth, 10% people with special needs, and 5% the elderly people, 60 and above. We are following this meticulously to ensure that women and youth take 70% of these funds, 10% will go to people with special needs, people that have challenges, and 5% will go to the elderly. The second aspect of this is the 75 billion MSME intervention program designed for MSMEs. I don't need to say much here because the SSA has spoken. Initially, the agreement was that single obligatory limit is 1 million. But as at last night, we got the presidential approval through our honorable minister that single obligatory limit has been moved to 5 million. We are assuring you that the 5 million will not only come into effect, it has been effected by us in BOI as at this morning. So those that will require more than ₦1 million up to 5 million, we are ready for you. And even if we've agreed and given you 1 million and we discovered that now you need more than that, we'll come back to you and give you that. The whole idea is we had discussions with NASME, we had discussions with NASI, and realistically, we realized that it will be extremely difficult if you restrict businesses to ₦1 million. So what can we do? They suggested, and we looked at it objectively, that minimum, why don't we move to 5 million? We are in business with them, we've been with them, and we truly agreed that 5 million is much more meaningful. We approached the SSA and our minister, and they promised us that listen, we'll go to the president. As always, the listening president listened to them, listened to reasons, and agreed that effective last night, we can move it to 5 million, a single obligatory limit. Today, as of today, we have disbursed close to 600 million, which means that out of the 75 billion, ladies and gentlemen, we have not done up to $1 billion yet. Your money is there, and I want to assure all of us that these funds are with us, Bank of Industry. We are not waiting for the minister to release. We are not waiting for the SSA to release. The funds are with us, 100%. It is also important to mention that to ensure that this is done properly, we have a technical team that can answer all questions, can guide you, But we are also using our 34 state offices across the country. There are only 5 states that we are not there physically: Bayelsa, Imo, Zamfara, Kogi, and Yobe. But I can assure you that these states are also fully covered by neighboring states. For example, Borno covers Yobe, Sokoto covers Zamfara, and so it is with all other states. The important thing is we've given enough training and required training, relevant training to all our staff to assist. So we will continue to welcome you. We'll continue to welcome Nigerians who are interested in these loans, and it is just 9% all in, and we are ready to support you to make sure that you get these funds, because the funds are yours. They'll be released by Mr. President. The third one is the 75 billion manufacturing sector fund. This is also a very simple one. We do the documentation with you. You can take up to 1 billion naira. I can assure you that because we are dealing with companies that have been well established, companies that have their records, companies that are used to taking loans from different banks, and they have seen this as a low-hanging fruit, as a kind gesture from Mr. President. They have started coming to us, and as of today, I can tell you that we have, by the end of this month, which is November, we would have disbursed 40 billion to well-qualified companies, Nigerian companies that have applied, and the records are there. What is important for us is that we will continue to serve this nation. We will not sit on these funds. We will continue to disburse them to qualified Nigerians. And by the time these funds are fully disbursed, the Honorable Minister, the SSA, will be able to go back to Mr. President and say, Mr. President, we have disbursed the 200 billion, but we need more, because Nigerians are hardworking people, Nigerians need help, and Nigerians want to take loans that they can repay. We believe that Nigerians will repay these loans, and whatever it takes to support Nigerians to not only take these loans, but to repay them, because the beauty of these loans is their ability to replicate themselves. If you give 1 million today, and somebody returns the 1 million, another person takes that 1 million. It is returned. Another person takes. So you find that it has effect that goes across the entire country. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to say, on behalf of Bank of Industry, that the funds are with us. The 200 billion intervention fund by the federal government have been released to us. We have commenced disbursement. We will not stop disbursements, whether it's a Saturday or Sunday, Salah or Christmas, until when the entire 200 billion is disbursed. On behalf of my MD, who is unavoidably absent because he's on another national assignment, the entire Bank of Industry team, we want to assure you, sir, Honorable Minister, see my hand. We will disburse these funds straight to the people that deserve these funds. We will maintain our integrity as Bank of Industry. We will maintain our support as one of the best supporters of the federal government of Nigeria when it comes to interventions. And we know we exist, not for ourselves. We exist for the entire country. And we want to count on the fact that we have never asked for support and the government has failed us. We will also never fail the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We will never fail Nigerians. We thank you for this opportunity, and we are truly grateful. Thank you, sir.
Tella, you heard what you said about Bank of Industry. The delivery, absolutely smooth. Can we put our hands together for him, ladies and gentlemen? But Mr. Shekarau, when you are breaking down the percentages, 70% to women and youths, 5% to the elderly, 10% to people with disability, somebody came to the back here And he said, I am 42. I'm neither youth nor elderly. Where do I belong? Does he squeeze himself into youths? Just pulling your legs. Just pulling your legs. Please come. Okay.
Thank you, sir. You know I'm not a politician. But the fact is, not the ruling party, but one of the parties at one time, their head of youth was a 68-year-old man. So you can now decide where to put those that are 40.
So, my brother, even if you are 58, you are a youth. Thank you very much. Very quickly, the special advisor to the president on industry, Mr. John Uwajimogu, is here, and he's been an amazing supporter of what is happening here. His cap puts him somewhere in Sokoto. His tummy tells us he eats amala in Lagos, but his frame makes him look like an Igbo man. Please welcome.
Which means I'm a true reflection of a Nigerian. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Honorable Minister of State, Senator John Ewan, I greet you. Senior Special Assistant to the President, Mr. Tola Johnson, thank you very much for this worthy event that you've put together. And greetings to our esteemed guests, BOI. Thank you for the work that you continue to do in being able to support businesses in Nigeria. The work you do as a bank of industries really serves a great role in driving the engine of our economy. And talking about engine of our economy, MSMEs really represent the true backbone of what drives the Nigerian economy. And I mean, let's think about the numbers for a second. MSMEs, we have about 40 million MSMEs in Nigeria, and they employ about 60 to 70% of all people work for MSMEs, and they contribute about 40% to 50% to the GDP. So that means that of the 200 million Nigerians, 1 out of 4.5 people here either work for or is an MSME. So this number illustrates just how important MSMEs are to anything we try to do in this country. They are the biggest sector of our economy. And it's in understanding how big MSMEs are and how critical they are for any national development agenda, that one of the first things that the president did as the president was to implement this facility. The president has instituted a number of reforms that in the long run it's going to change the trajectory of our economy, to turbocharge it so that we can start growing at double digits, and we can start growing at a rate that exceeds the rate at which our population is growing. And I mean, if you think about it, we are, 223 million people, and we are projected to be 400 million people in a couple of decades. So that means we need to be growing at 15% to be able to feed, clothe, and provide employment for all these people. And you cannot do that at 4 and 5% growth. So serious reforms are needed. So when the president got into power, the realization that, look, we need to make some serious restructuring and reforms to our economy. But in understanding that these reforms is going to come at a cost, there needs to be some palliatives to soften the impact of these reforms. And one of the first things in terms of supporting MSMEs was the grant, the 50 billion naira grant. And that's a grant that goes to nano businesses. These are small businesses, one person, two people businesses, which constitutes a huge part of the MSME category. And this is not money that needs to be paid back, but it's money that is supposed to support their cash transfers to support MSME businesses so that they can continue to grow. And then the other 150 billion recognizes the fact that credit is what drives entrepreneurial activity. It's what creates local capital formation. It is by providing credit that businesses are able to do more and have that multiplier effect that lifts everyone. So the president so this demonstration shows that the president is very focused on driving, on using MSMEs as a fulcrum for economic growth and achieving his renewed hope agenda. So thank you very much for the work that has gone into this, the work that the SSA is doing, the work that the Honorable Minister is doing in being able to use MSMEs as an anchor for driving, not only driving industrial growth, but creating jobs so that that prosperity that all Nigerians can be shared can become a reality. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
You know, when you are American trained, because you can hear the American accent somewhere underneath, you can see that the man is used to handling master classes. He's used to teaching people. Thank you, John. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. So very quickly, I have told him I'll report him to the Honorable Minister of Finance if he goes beyond 3 minutes. The representative of the minister, Ahmed Ghazali, he's the director in charge of You Win, and you'll be winning if you do 3 minutes. I invite you to the microphone.
Permit me to stand on the existing protocol. It gives me pleasure to deliver these opening remarks at the media activation and town hall meeting on the federal government loan scheme for MSMEs and manufacturing enterprises, an event that marks a pivotal moment in our collective journey toward economic empowerment and sustainable growth. This occasion is not just about spinning publicity for another financial intervention program by the government of the day. We are gathered here to propagate a shared vision of our communal prosperity in a thriving, inclusive economy where every Nigerian has the tools and resources to succeed. This is the reason for our convergence here, and also the reason why President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is keenly focused on driving MSME growth and the success of the manufacturing sector to properly reposition our economy. It is common knowledge that MSMEs are the backbone of the Nigerian economy. And if we do not support our MSME to prosper, the Nigerian economy suffers. To all the MSMEs here with us today, I want to thank you all for your hard work, sacrifice, contributions to the development and stability of our great country. While appreciating MSMEs, government is not unaware that the MSMEs in Nigeria continue to face numerous challenges that hinder their growth and prosperity. Problems of access to capital that is being solved now, skill gap, power supply, etc. It is with this strong resolve to tackle these challenges the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration has provided several interventions to support MSMEs since the advent of his administration. Some of these interventions include de-risking of MSMEs lending, as well as provision of grant and affordable single-digit loans for MSMEs, like the presidential conditional grant scheme and the MSME intervention program. For the manufacturing sector, our administration is working tirelessly to improve the ease of doing business in Nigeria for entrepreneurs. Some of the initiatives to support ease of doing business in Nigeria include various fiscal governance reforms like automation of the process of import duty exemption certificate, IDEC, harmonization of tax laws in the Federation, and unification of exchange rate regimes. Furthermore, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has recently approved the Casual Jobs Scheme, which is designed to foster job creation within 10 SME clusters, such as fashion, beauty, artisanry, in the informal sector of the economy. This scheme, funded by my ministry, is coordinated by the Office of the Vice President. To further underline these measures above and further incorporate this unregulated informal sector into the mainstream framework of our economy, our administration is in the final stage of designing National Youth Unemployment Benefit Program, a comprehensive social welfare initiative designed to support the unemployed, underemployed, and those struggling with self-employment. Several other efforts by the government are in the pipeline to revamp the economy, nurture the MSMEs, support manufacturing, and reduce unemployment, to offer succor to various segments of our population. Some of these initiatives are part of our broader strategy to integrate the informal sector into the mainstream economic planning. Finally, I would like to once again appreciate everyone here and assure you that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration remains committed to supporting the progress of MSMEs in Nigeria, as well as drive growth of the manufacturing sector. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You tried, you win. Okay. You have talent for politics. Thank you. And so, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, for me, what I'm tagging on is what the Bank of Industry just told us now, that it doesn't matter if it's Saturday or Sunday, disbursement is going on. Did I quote you right? So if I were you hold this man before he goes and find out the procedure. But for me, this event will make you wax lyrical and you don't want to rest the grace in your tongue. So I would say, for all of us that are here, lift your eyes to beyond what lies ahead. Reach out and touch the possibilities of the renewed hope. To speak to us here in a special remark is a man that understands what you are going through. He was the 36th Honorable Minister of Sports in Nigeria, a former senator. But beyond that, he was also a teacher. He was also a farmer. And I think he still farms till now. So he understands what all of you are going through. And I understand from what he just said that only 24 hours ago, he made a quantum leap of getting approval from 1 million to 5 million. So as he steps up here, with a smile. Please put your hands together for Senator John Owen Eno, the Minister of State Industry, Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment.
Thank you. His Excellency, please sit down. His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, here represented the Honorable Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister, Mr. Wale Dun, ably represented by the Director UWIN, Ahmed Ghazali, the Senior Special Assistant on Job Creation and MSMEs, Office of the VP, Mr. Tola Johnson, my friend, the Special Advisor to the President on Industry, Mr. John Wajumogbi, heads of government agencies present, the EDs of Bank of Industry, Mr. Shekarau, Ms. Mabel, our partners, the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Let me thank everyone who's honored the invitation to be here. Sitting where I sat and looking at my right, nationwide town hall sensitization program. You know, as a politician, when we talk about town halls are, even though not every politician organizes town halls anyway, but town halls ordinarily are platforms for engagement between the politician and the people that have elected him if he's elected. An opportunity to give account. You know, when I say not everyone does it, it's because of the challenge of accountability. Not too many people are willing and are able to make themselves available for accountability sessions. Town halls also provide an opportunity for feedback. Explain what you've been about and get a feedback, just so you can build and engender a better polity and some kind of lift your representation. So for me, I haven't seen too many people, too many government agencies subject and make themselves available for public scrutiny as much as what I find here today in terms of what has been organized by the SSA to the President, Office of the Vice President, Tola Johnson, and the Bank of Industry. Elsewhere in my earlier engagement in sports and in other things, I have seen Mr. Tola Johnson. I've watched him on TV organize sessions like this. Let me thank you, Tola, for what great work you are doing for our country and for Mr. President. Let me thank the Bank of Industry for establishing the proper framework to be accountable, to be transparent, and to be practical. Practical especially, part of the challenge that we find and that I continue to find in government is the huge gap that exists between what government says, what the pronouncements indicate, and what you find in practical terms. I congratulate and thank BOI for bridging that gap and for making its programs and procedures so practical that they are above board and they can be seen. I thank BOI. You know, we sitting there and getting all the accolades about the increase in terms of the fund value to MSMEs from 1 million to 5 million. It's, I thank the MD and BOI You know, I haven't been formally briefed yet, but I've had sessions with the MD. The very first time MD and I spoke, he had given an indication about the fact of what requests he had made before Mr. President, about increasing the sum from 1 million to 5 million. And I thought that was the right thing to do. Yesterday I got a call from the MD announcing the fact that this approval has been given. Let's thank the MD and let's thank Mr. President. You know, I find out again and again that we got a president who listens. We got a president who is so in a hurry to do good things for the country, to provide leadership, to be president, and therefore to impact on the lives and circumstances of Nigerians. For Mr. President, don't just present before him an idea that is good, that is brilliant. An idea he finds out will resonate and impact positively on Nigerians. This president quickly approves that idea. That is the kind of president that we have. And we thank him, and I'd like you to follow me and thank Mr. President. So for me, I really don't need to be thanked for being here. This is part of my job, the job to push for industry. The job, and therefore, if appearing here in person is what I need to achieve that push, I'll appear many more times than just today. That's what I will do. And therefore, if my assignment as Minister of State for Industry is to assist Tola Johnson and all the various stakeholders and agencies of government to deliver on this sector, I will do so, because that is what matters and that is what this government needs. You know, so, you see him? You know, if the MC was here, he would attribute that to politics. Meanwhile, I heard the ED on MSMEs, Mr. Shekarao. Before he spoke, he said he's not a politician. And you know what? Those who play the most politics are the people that are quick to say they are not politicians. Maybe because they have not appeared to address campaign rallies, or they haven't been on the ballot. That's not all it takes to be a politician. There is much more. You know, but having said so, I think that we've got a good platform here, and the figures are startling. The contributions of MSMEs in our economy. There's about no country that can exist without the MSMEs. And you've heard the figures. I mean, I understand that there are about 40 million, and we're still counting them. I mean, my hope is that we're going to be able to have a proper record of these. And every day, every moment that they add, we update that record. I think that we're going to need that for purposes of planning. And the figures don't just stop there. The fact that the businesses that are MSME businesses are about 96%. The fact that the workforce is about 84%. The fact that in terms of their contribution to GDP, it's about 46%. I mean, there's no country without MSMEs. And if you are here and you're part of the MSMEs, then feel very proud of yourself, because you're making a contribution to the economy and to the growth of this economy that is almost non-comparable. I mean, and you can imagine that in spite of these very fine points, we've talked about the MSMEs, but there are challenges. What are those challenges? Access to finance, to capital. You know, we are still burdened by infrastructural, challenges and deficits. We are burdened by our inability to compete internationally. And I think that is the main reason why Mr. President had to undertake the provision of 200 billion. Mr. President, in response to these challenges, has made this available. And I think that part of the reason for this sensitization is that too many Nigerians, in spite of what government continues to do, in spite of what this government continues to do, too many Nigerians still ask questions as to what really is this government doing. So when sessions like this are called and they are taking place in many more centers outside this center, what they succeed in doing is to educate Nigerians to be aware of what is going on in order for them to also benefit. I mean, this government, the government of President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is on a mission to reset our country. And I've said it in numerous places that the president had a choice. The choice he had was to pretend about our situation, to pretend about our circumstances, to print maybe this time about 50 trillion naira, and therefore mask and hide our problems and postpone doomsday. But that is not what this president has decided to do. No. What he's decided to do is not to play the politician in him, but to be practical and to confront today's problem. For what? For tomorrow's successes. So the president is going on and reading out this. It is for us Nigerians. This is not a publicity stunt. It is real. It is practical. You've heard the AD talk about the fact that even tomorrow or Sunday, that they are at work trying to make sure that this is done. And I agree with them because the president's intention can only happen only if bodies like BOI themselves give support in terms of what they are doing. And I'm not going to bore you in terms of what and what it is. You've been told on and on. Right? Is it the nano grants that are free of charge and that are deliberately intended to be inclusive? I mean, to people who apply. And you've been told how many numbers have already applied and benefited from it. Is it the 75 billion for micro, small, and medium enterprises? And you've been told, it's open in terms of the proportion of people that have already applied and benefited and the balance that is left. So that challenge is a challenge of Nigerians and these businesses to take advantage of the opportunity. Is it the 75 billion for manufacturing? I mean, all of these will continue to count and will continue to matter. But only to the extent that we're going to support what the SSS office is doing and what BOI is also doing. And it's important that we take this seriously. I mean, they are open and they have made themselves available. And I think we should take advantage of this. At the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, we take all these efforts seriously. Because that we succeed or not in terms of our mandate is going to be the direct result and effect of how well these programs run. It's very important. Right? If you're looking at the presidential priorities, priority 7, in terms of accelerating, diversification, in terms of industrialization, in terms of innovation, in terms of digitization. I mean, all of that are part of what is the main ingredient in priority 7. And I think that's where we come in. So efforts like these are part of the efforts that are going to enable us as a ministry to have to achieve these. And I think it's beyond just financing. You have to look at the other effects of what this brings to the table. And what are those effects? The empowerment of MSMEs and manufacturers. The fact, for example, that an MSME has a chance to get about 5 million. And that 5 million is at 9% interest. Where else is that happening? Nowhere. I mean, just a few days ago, the CBN committee came up with what? With an increase in terms of the percentage of the interest that it charges banks to about 27.5%, isn't it? That is not including what charges the banks are going to add to make the cost of borrowing so expensive. And then you have a window to just borrow at 9%. To have a period of about 3 years. You know, so there's nothing, or maybe to have a chance to borrow about 1 billion for the manufacturing sector. So there's nothing else that you can compare this to how this empowers these micro and small, businesses. And it empowers the manufacturing, our manufacturers. And then there's also the issue of how much it creates jobs and drives innovation, especially for the MSMEs. And you've been told how inclusive this is and how it is deliberately intended, to appeal to what? And to include women, the young people, the elderly. I mean, it's all of that. So all of that is what it empowers and creates jobs. And then finally, it also increases our degree of competitiveness as a people. And I think that all these things are important. And at the ministry, we're interested in an alignment with presidential priorities and programs. And that is why we are interested in collaborating and getting all our agencies to see how much of their work is in alignment with the economic reform programs of this administration. Which is why, I believe that in this room, there is the, engagement and the interaction between the office of the SSA, within BOI, and the stakeholders that will include NASME, NASI, MAN, and all of that. It is such collaborative work that can make it worthwhile. And we are committed again in terms of how at the level of the ministry we can work towards the ease of doing business. Fortunately, the present Minister of Trade and Investment, the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, spent so much effort, being in charge of the presidential, ease of doing business committee. And now she's Minister of Trade and Investment. So it's very important, and I think it resonates with what we're doing at the ministry. How we can remove barriers to the growth of our micro, small, and medium enterprises. And I think that, in addition to this, we're also interested in those policies and programs that in itself completely address regulatory bottlenecks that are small businesses, that are manufacturing concerns, right, continue to encounter. My hope is that at the end of the day, this endeavor that started with the presidential approval, this endeavor that the SSA has actually been running around the country, sensitizing Nigerians, this endeavor that BOI has shown so much transparency. BOI has stood and told us that the money is not a promise, the money is already with them. That's what they've said. The hope is that it will not just end up as a funding opportunity, but that at the end of the day, it is going to be transformative enough to the extent that we are able to measure and know how many small businesses got 5 million and their part towards getting bigger and getting to be manufacturing concerns. It will be truly transformative. It's only when it's truly transformative that I think that Mr. President would have succeeded and I will be happy with these efforts that are going on. So I thank everyone and I wish everyone a great day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Let's put our hands together to him one more time. We appreciate you. And see, one thing that resonates with me from what you said is that leadership transforms when limitations are turned into possibilities. Thank you very much for what you're doing. Thank you. We'll have a group photograph later, but we have a short video about the impact of this program on people, and then we'll have some people live here that will give their testimonies. Can we have the video, please? Play the video, please.
Presidential bank yìí ọ̀rẹ́ mi kan ló sọ fún mi pé bank kan wà ta òkun mi lé tó sẹ́ni lé kìí sí mi mo gbó tu lé kìí mo á rẹ́jísítà ní April wọ́n gbà tó wá di May yìí wọ́n á fún mẹ́sẹ̀gì mi kí n lọ fún capturing.
Orúkọ mi ni Mrs. Sọlá Ìtọ́sẹ́nìyà mo máa ń lọ ta. Mo lè máa ta tírílíọ̀nù materials. Mo máa fi kòkó rent àti àdùnkàn fún àwọn tó bá fẹ́ ṣe pàtì. Àwọn ọmọ mi ló gbọ́ wípé ìjọba fún àwọn ènìyàn ní owó. So wọ́n lè rẹ́jísà èmi náà sí. Wọ́n lè kí n gbé ìgbésẹ̀. Àwọn ọmọ ló rẹ́jísà everything. So bí ọjọ́ mélòó sẹ́yìn ni wọ́n lè fún ní message pé ká wá fara mi láti ṣe caption ní local government. Nígbà tó dẹ̀ ìyá náà wọ́n lè fún ní àlá pé òun náà ti wọlé inú mi dùn nítorí pé a ṣe ìrànlọ́wọ́ nínú òkèèrè.
Lẹ́yìn tí mo lọ pé caption náà ọjọ́ kejì sọ́jọ́ kẹta wọ́n á fi owó yẹn ní báńkì 50,000 ní owó yẹn. Mo lè ní 50,000 yẹn mo lè wá kéjì díẹ̀ mọ́ mo pé ra nígbà mi. Lẹ́yìn tí mo ti ra nípa ẹ̀ sìn àwọn ọmọọṣẹ́ yìí fún wọn ní ìgbọ́n lẹ́sẹ̀ ní nípa ẹ̀ kọ̀ọ̀kan kò ní sí pé kọ́sùmù bá dé àti àwọn ọmọdé kọ́sùmù àdúgbò lọ.
Nígbà tí mo ṣe capture tó wọ́n máa rí alert 50,000 naira 50,000 naira yẹn sì ó ra nǹkan díẹ̀ ara kọ̀tà fi ń ṣiṣẹ́ bí electrode àbí wáyà tá a fi ń dó kan olúwa pẹ̀ àrùn lọ́wọ́ ètò ọ̀ṣẹ̀ yìí olúwa kì í ṣe ìyẹn nìkan àbí gbogbo wa bá ṣe pọ̀.
Dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ ìjọba gidi gan nítorí pé ọlọ́run kẹ̀ dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ ọlọ́run gidi gan pé ọlọ́run tàbí lọ́tẹ̀ gbàdúgbò adáwọ̀ yìí sọ fún mi yẹn mọ́ kó ìgbé ayé ni ìgbọ̀n ti tí mo ṣe rárí ló ṣe ìyẹn wọn àwọn gbèsè mo bẹ̀rẹ̀ fẹ́ bá mo rọ̀ fẹ́ bá ní pé wọ́n bá máa tẹ̀síwájú ní ọ̀tọ̀ ṣe fún wa.
Wọ́n àìpọ̀ wọ́n yẹn ń fi àsìkò tí ọlọ́run fi ṣe ní láàánú máa ra petrol máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ ra díẹ̀ mọ́ ọjà tí mo gbà tó ń táwọn Yorùbá bá bẹ̀rẹ̀ tán méjì mẹ́ta tí mi ò bá ní máa fi owó yẹn tó. Mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ ìjọba tí wọ́n fún mi ní 50,000 yóò tọ́ ìjọba wọ́n fún wa ní 50,000 mo jẹ́rìí sí.
I don't know, for those who cannot speak Yoruba here, the last word of that woman is what caught me. She said, Mo jẹ́rìí sí, I can testify. And there are stories like that across the 774 local government areas of the country. But we have also live people here that will give testimonies. Williams Asokwa Williams is a food vendor. Williams, where are you? That's you. Come close, come close. Ako Godde is a trader. Ako? Okay, please come closer. And then Angela Christopher is a nanny. Angela Christopher? All right, please, let's start with you. 2 minutes or 1 minute. What has this done to you? Please come over. Don't be shy. You're a rich man now.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is William Asoko William, the beneficiary of the Presidential Crown and Loan Scheme. I'm a food vendor in Isalo. I'm very grateful for this opportunity and the support from the BIO and also from the Presidential Scheme. I say God bless all and God bless the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you all.
So, Williams, with the coming of the money, your food is sweeter now. Okay.
Thank you.
Congrats. Ako, please. Angela, are you still in the room? You are here? Okay. Come closer.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
I want to stand the energetic protocol. I greet everybody all. My name is Akogode. I'm a businessman. When I got the money, I use the money to make sure that my business go on. And I want to thank Mr. President and the Bank of Industry to give us this money. And I urge the federal government and the Bank of Industry, as they say, to do more, that we are ready to work, we are ready to do business. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, Angela.
My name is Ms. Angela Christopher. I'm here to say a big thank to federal government for what they have done for me, the money they gave to me last time. When the money come, I was like, whoa, because before that time, I was running in my house. And there's many things I lack in that time to ask to you, like toy, bicycle for children to play with. I don't have them before. But when the money come in, I quickly use the money to buy those things for children to play. See, that time, the daycare have increased now. I want to say a big thank you to federal government once again for what they have done to us.
Angela, well done. Thank you very much. Please, he has a special announcement to make.
Sorry, very quickly, I just sought the permission of the minister now and the Bank of Industry. You know, we have, in the MSME clinic, we have about 28 partners. So per event, sometimes they give grants. Some of them are unable to come, so they are giving some grants. Angela, you, the other man, what?
Williams and
Angela, Williams, and Akko. So you guys, there's 200,000 naira grant they say I should give to you people today. So.
Angela, they told me you're a nanny. And as somebody who was here when they gave you 200,000, you have to nanny me. I have to. Congratulations to all of you. Thank you very much. Thank you. So as we are beginning to wind down this event, do not just clap for Angela then for 200,000. The SSA said something. It said those who started drawing down at 5 million are now drawing down in the range of billions. It can be you. It can be you. Let me welcome here the representative of Lagos State Government. Once she finishes, we'll take the photograph and we'll wrap up. Mrs. Lola Orimogunje, for sure to wrap up this event for us on behalf of Lagos State Government, and then we'll take a group photograph and we'll wrap up.
Welcome back from the live telecast. We'll now continue with our regular programs. Stay tuned.
Temi Giwa Tubosun, a trailblazer, saving lives and empowering women. Over 10,000 women with birth complications were saved using her LifeBank technology to track and match blood donors to patients in less than 52 minutes. Working with over